Well, I'm in Seville and there's oranges everywhere, literally falling off the trees, so I've picked myself up a couple. I thought I'd have a go at making some Seville Orange Marmalade. Hey folks, I'm back from lovely and warm Andalusia to flipping freezing Yorkshire. Well, when I say flipping freezing, it's 4 degrees outside and very windy. We've just had Storm Herminia, whatever it was called, blow through. And yeah, I'm feeling the chill, but I have brought back with me from Seville 3 lovely Seville Oranges. Really nice big ones. I mean, look at the size of these bad boys. They're massive. These are just left to rot in the streets. I can't believe it. I've actually picked these off the trees, and I was really fortunate to be there in January because, as it turns out, they're in season between November and February. So I was smack bang in the middle of the season being there then, so that's great. So I've got these at just the right time. These 3 oranges weigh 942 grams, and I'm using all of the oranges. The peel, the pith, the pips, the flesh, the juice, everything. Everything has a use in this recipe. And the recipe that I'm going to do with you, I've actually got from ChatGPT. I went on ChatGPT and I said, I've got 942 grams of Seville oranges. Can I have a recipe to make some marmalade? And that's exactly what it's done for me. So let's have a look at those key ingredients. So I've got 3 Seville oranges, my 942 grams of Seville oranges. I'm going to have 1.5 kilos of sugar and 2.5 litres of water. And that literally is it. It's a 3 ingredient recipe. Winner. So my first job is to peel my oranges. I've already done one. And literally I just need to take the skin off, the peel off, leave all the pith on the orange itself because nothing gets wasted, everything is getting used in this recipe. You'll see that the size of the orange compared to what it was before and after is quite considerably different when you take the pith off, not the pith, the peel off I should say, because the peel is very thick on these oranges. Oh, lots of juice, I'm not wasting any. Let's get that in my blender, a sign of things to come. There we go. So my bits of orange I'm going to put in my blender, which I've got to the left just here. So you can see my orange there in the blender. So I'm going to keep the segments of orange with all the pith on in there, and I'm going to keep all the peel on the chopping board. I'll come back to you shortly when I finish peeling my oranges and I've got the peel on the chopping board and all of the segments in the blender. So you can see that I've now got all of my peeled orange segments inside the blender. I'm going to come back to them in a minute because the star of the show is actually this stuff here that normally gets thrown away. So this is the pan in which I'm going to be making my marmalade. I'm going to take each piece of orange peel, like so, and cut it down into really fine strips, like you can see just here. So what I'm essentially looking for is, like when you get marmalade and you've got those really fine pieces of rind inside the marmalade, that's what I am aiming to achieve just here. So I've got quite a lot of cutting to do to get them down to those sorts of sizes from this. So I'll be back in a bit when I've done that. Right, there's all my orange peel in the pan. I'm now going to cover this with water. So there are 2 litres of water in this jug. I must admit, it does seem like a lot, but I'm going to go with what ChatGPT said. So then I'm going to put my pan on a ring on the hob, put the lid on, and I'm going to put it on a low heat. And I'm just going to leave this now for 90 minutes so it comes to a very gentle simmer. What that's intended to do is soften up the peel to make it something that's going to be more edible than what it currently is. Right, let's have a look at the orange segments. So there's all my orange segments here in the blender. There is a couple of bits of peel in there too, just the nasty bits, which I didn't really want to put in the marmalade. I don't want to waste any ingredients, and I'm going to hit this onto puree. Job done. So I'm just going to remove the top. Smells wonderful, as you can imagine. And what I've got now is a thick, gloopy orange juice. which has got loads of bad stuff in it, which I don't want. Except in this recipe, I do want it. So what I want to do now is separate the juice from the sludge, and I'm going to do so with this sieve just here. So I'll just remove that from there and take out the mixing tool. I don't want to waste anything, so I'll shake it all off. And then it's simply a case of pouring into my sieve. I'm going to put a little bit of water in here because there is still some goodness in that. Just a little bit, wash it out. Right, I'm going to put that on there and just leave that for a little bit and see how it drips through. If it doesn't start to go through naturally enough, I shall manually push it through. So back in a bit. Okay, I'm just going to expedite the separation of pulp and juice just with a wooden spoon, and I'm just going to simply push into here. And what will happen is that the liquid will then drain through the bottom of the sieve into the pan underneath. And I want to be left with loads of this gloopy stuff that you can see in the sieve. You can already see the liquids going down. And this stuff in the sieve is great because it's going to release pectins into my marmalade, and I need pectins to make it nice and stiff. I'm even leaving the pips in. So all of this now is good stuff that's going to help me to make my marmalade, and this is flavour, but that is not going into my marmalade just yet. So I'm going to have a swap round. So this sieve is going to go over that jug for the time being. This pan is now going to be poured into this jug. And this stuff here is going into this pan. And to that I'm going to add 500 ml of water. That's fine, so that's going to go into there. Just use my spoon to break it up a little bit. Lid on, and this is going to go onto a small ring at the back. I'm going to put that on a low heat, and again I'm going to let that come to a very gentle simmer and leave it for 90 minutes. So I'll be just interested to see how much orange juice I did extract from that. And this is 500 ml, I believe, in there when it's up to that level. Let's have a look. Yeah, just over 500 ml. So that's pretty good from 3 oranges. I am playing the waiting game now. The big pan has got about 75 minutes left, and the little pan I want to have for 90. I'll come back to you when they're done. Hey folks, I'm back. It's now been 90 minutes and you can see that the pectic enzymes are doing their thing in there. I'm going to lift that lid. I'm going to turn that off. These have been done a while. These have been turned off for 15 minutes. Let me just show you what I've got in the big pan. There we go. So that's been cooled down for 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this mush that's got the pectins in it, and I'm going to pour it through the sieve into the pan that's got the rind in. And again, I want to separate the liquid from the solid. So I'll begin like I did before, just by manipulating the sieve, but then I shall get my wooden spoon to continue pushing it through. So I'm now just pushing it through with the wooden spoon. I'm getting as much liquid out as I possibly can. And at this point the solids do get separated, and the solids don't make it into the final recipe. Okay, I'm quite satisfied that I've got out of that everything that I want to, so I'm just going to put all that mash in the sieve into this pan. In fact, underneath the sieve there's some good stuff, so I shall get that off. So this is what I've now got in the pan. And this is literally all the waste. That's it. That literally is it. So now I've got the rind, I've got the pectins in there, and now I want to add the orange juice from the jug into this as well. This is going to fill it up quite a lot. So I want the level of liquid in the pan to reduce. So I'm going to now put this on top of it. That will allow steam to escape. The level of liquid will go down a little bit, and once that starts to become visible, I'm then going to add the sugar into it. So I've now got this on a low heat, and I'm going to leave it on a low heat until I'm satisfied that the liquid's gone down. It might take an hour, it might take less. I'll come back to you and let you know. So just an update on 40 minutes. And it's all boiling together nicely. The height of the liquid has decreased a little bit, but I want it to go down some more yet. So I'm quite happy just to leave this carrying on doing its thing. Let's have a look on an hour. That's definitely starting to go down now and thicken up. So I feel confident enough now to add some of the sugar. I might not add it all just yet. I'll put a kilo in. So that's about 1/3 of a kilo. I'll give that a little stir. And when I make jam, I make it 50-50 fruit and sugar. I don't add water to the extent that I have with this marmalade. So it's all a bit different doing it this way to me. I normally rely on the juice coming out of the fruit. Okay, that seems to have dissolved. Put some more in. And again, stir it round nice and gently. Don't want it going everywhere. And once again. And then that goes back on. Back in a bit. Now look at it, 30 minutes later, that is definitely more syrupy. That sugar's made a big difference. I think I'll get another 500 grams in there. Spot on. Right, in it goes. ChatGPT did actually say between 1.5 kilos and 2 kilos, but I felt 2 kilos was overkill. So I'm sticking to the lower end of the scale for now. Again, I'm going to stir that in. And I want the water to evaporate off. And I want this to become a jammy marmalade constituency as the sugar melts and liquefies. It smells absolutely delightful. Right, back to the simmer. And that extra sugar, again, it's made a difference to the way it's boiling. I think that this will be done within the next 30 to 40 minutes. Right, a further 30 minutes, and this is looking quite jammy now indeed. You see how it's going around the edges like that? That's beginning to sort of set. That's the cooler parts of the pan, comparatively to the centre where it's bubbling above where the gas ring is. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a mix, and I can feel thickness underneath in places as well. That's a very good sign. Nothing stuck to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit on here. That'll do. Put it on the plate. And what I want to see is that this liquid here to form a tacky surface that I can touch, and it won't feel like liquid, it will form a skin. And then I'm going to try a little bit of the orange as well to make sure it's not too bitter. So while I'm waiting for that to cool, I'll just let this carry on. Now this is interesting, it looks to have risen in the pan now. Yeah, that really does feel different. There's air in that. I think this could be it. Oh, look at that, how it's stuck to the... Look at that, yeah, there's definitely the right constituency, I think. Let's just have a look at what I did on the plate earlier. It's not running now. It's got a tacky top. But that's all right. I think I'm going to turn that off, actually. I think that's just about done. So from start to finish, from me cutting that fruit up this morning to now, it's actually been 5 hours. That's been on the hob for quite a while, but it's been on a low heat. Some people do a rapid boil, which is fine, that's how they want to do it. I prefer to do it low and slow. Anyway, look, let's have a little taste. I'm going to just have a taste of the jelly. That is absolutely spot on, actually. Totally right. It's delicious. It's as good as, if not better than, any shop-bought marmalade I've ever had from the jelly. Try a bit of the fruit. It really is delightful. That's gorgeous. I have made Seville Orange Marmalade and it's flipping good. Wow, I'm right chuffed. I can't wait to have this on a slice of toast tomorrow morning now. Delicious. Right, I need to let this cool a bit. It's too hot to jar at the minute. And I need to find some jars. I'll come back to you in a bit. Right, I've got my jars in the sink. I've filled them with boiling water. They're just sterilising. And I'm just boiling the lids, or I will be boiling the lids very shortly over here. Right, here I am. This can be a slightly messy job. I've got this thing here which is a jam funnel, which is quite handy for sitting in the top of the jars like that. And it is just a case of scooping and dropping. Now I'm going to get drips, it's going to be sticky and I'll have to wash all the jars afterwards. But essentially this is the process. One down, several to go. I'll come back to you when I've done them. Right, I managed 5 full jars. I'm just going to rinse these off because they've definitely got sticky on the outside. And there they are, jarred up in all their glory. I'll catch you tomorrow for marmalade on toast. See you then. Hi folks, I'm back. It's just after 6 AM the next morning. It's time for breakfast. Guess what I'm having? So the marmalade that I'm using is the bit that was left over and didn't fit in the jars, but there's no point in wasting it. It's got a good stiff constituency. Not too stiff, but definitely not runny. That's just exactly as I wanted it. Just mash it in with the back of a spoon, much more effective than a knife. But as ever, the proof is in the tasting. Let's find out. The bread's quite substantial, but let me tell you, it's banging. That's really good marmalade. I would say that's better. I'm sorry for talking with my mouth full, but I think that's better than any shop-bought marmalade I've ever had. It's obviously got no rubbish in it. It's got oranges, water and sugar. That's it. No chemicals, no preservatives. It's au naturel. No colourings, no flavourings. Just really good Seville Orange Marmalade. Right, I need to finish this and get ready for work. It's been a pleasure folks, catch you next time.